Hey guys, how's it going? Gilly here from the Retro Oasis, and today we have a video with the first impressions of the Anbernic 503. This is a new retro handheld console from Anbernic, and one of its main selling points is this OLED screen. So let's check it out. Welcome to the Oasis. Let's start with the unboxing. That's pretty straightforward and very common on the Anbernic devices. We have the handheld, USB cable for charging, the wipes and the screen protector for the display, and the manual with some useful information on how to navigate the system. And here's the main attraction. I'm not gonna get into the details of the specs because I'm still making a video with an in-depth review of this device. The RG503 is around $120 on websites like AliExpress and Banggood. At the moment of this video, Banggood has the best price, and I left the purchase link in the description together with a coupon. And the first thing I noticed is the design. It's very different from other handhelds Anbernic released before. Handheld devices like the RG552 and the RG351MP are like this, a bit more squared. But this time Anbernic decided to go in a different direction, with the sides a bit more rounded and the screen more recessed, different from what we have on these two models, where the screen is OCA laminated, which means there's no space between the glass that protects the display and the actual display. Here is different. Apparently there's no glass to protect the screen. At least they ship with a screen protector to avoid scratches. Another thing I noticed right away are these bumps in the back of the device. I personally love these bumps. I think it helps a lot with the ergonomics. And it's great. Most of the new handheld devices are coming with the bumps. I think the AYN Odin started with this trend. As you can see here, it's very rounded and very nice to hold. It has some texture with the dots, a bit of grit that helps when you're holding it. It reminds me of the texture we find on an Xbox controller. And I must say that with the bumps and the sides here a bit more rounded, this is the most comfortable handheld Anbernic's released so far. The RG351MP is more squared. It's not bad to hold, it just doesn't compare with the better ergonomics here. Definitely Anbernic improved a lot in this area. And even though the device is more comfortable to hold, one thing it didn't change is the distance between the thumbsticks and the shoulder buttons. I don't think it's comfortable to use the thumbsticks and the shoulder buttons at the same time, especially the L2 and R2. I think your hands stay in an awkward position, and playing for a long period of time, I start feeling some discomfort on the muscle here. I think everything would be much more simple if the thumbsticks were up here and these buttons here down here. Something similar to the Steam Deck. It's crazy comfortable and you have easy access to the shoulder buttons. But for the 503, I don't think that's too much of a problem, because most of the games you'll be playing here, you won't be using the thumbstick very much. You'll be using much more the D-pad and the face buttons. Another thing I noticed, the 503, it's very similar to the 552 in several aspects. It's a good thing I chose this color, something that Apple would call space gray. That's pretty much the same color of my 552, so we can compare a little better. I'd say the 552 shines a bit more. Despite both of them having a metal look, I think the 503 resembles it a bit better. But in the end, both devices are very similar. Not to mention, some of the parts used here seems the same for both devices. The same D-pad, the same select and start, the same face buttons here, and the same thumbsticks for both devices. Even the layout is very similar. Looking at the bottom of both devices, we have both stereo speakers, INT1 memory card slot, where you have your system files, the reset button, a function button, and it's in a terrible location. Anbernic doesn't learn. And the TF2, the second memory card slot, where you can put your games. On top, we have the shoulder buttons. The 552 actually has an active cooling system, something we don't have on the 503. But both have HDMI out, headphone jack, and two USB-C ports, one for charging and another one for peripherals. And the left and right sides are inverted. The 552 have the volume buttons on the left. They are on the right side on the 503. The power button is on the right on the 552. and on the left on a 503. So except for a few things, they are very similar. But of course, the 552 is more powerful. Remember that I mentioned they have the same face buttons. One thing I noticed after a little while is this dust that showed up on the side of the buttons. It feels like the holes on the shell are too small, and it kind of scratches the side of the buttons when you press them. At the moment, it's not a problem. They work perfectly. I'm just not sure what kind of impact that dust can have on a device in the long term. I've had the RG552 for a lot longer. I use this device frequently and nothing. No dust, nothing. And the proof that the holes on the 552 are bigger is here. Look at the movement of the button. There's plenty of space here for the button to move. On the 503, that space is much shorter. One more thing I noticed, this is the first Anbernic device the build quality is not excellent. Don't get me wrong. It's still light years ahead if compared with a Palkitty device. It just seems to me that this one specifically, it just doesn't reach quite the same level of previous devices of the company. Let's go back to the 552 one more time to compare. We can see here that all the seams fit perfectly. There's no edges, plastic leftovers, nothing. On the 553, it's a bit different. It seems to have some plastic left over on the seam here, and I feel the shell doesn't fit well together like it should. I think you can see better here, and over here, close to the shoulder buttons. And I think that's too bad, especially for Anbernic being well known for the build quality of their devices. About the size, we have it here with the RG552. Here with the AYN Oled, and here with Anbernic's RG351MP. Just a reminder, I have reviews for other devices here in the channel, like the 552 and the AYN Oled. So if you like this kind of content, consider subscribing and hit the bell to get notifications for future videos. And once it's on, what do I notice? Of course, the beautiful OLED screen. This OLED display is the main selling point of this handheld. If you don't know, it's the same panel used on the original PS Vita, and for my first impression, it's beautiful. It produces a sharp image with very saturated colors. It's too bad the camera can't capture the image well. I'll show you a bit more of the screen when we test some games. And the interface we have is the Batocera Linux, and it's very well known. Several Chinese consoles come with this system, but some of them comes with EmuLAC, that's very similar. This version I bought, it didn't come with any games, so I had to put a memory card here with my own games. And it's a very simple process. You just need to insert your formatted card here and turn on the system, and it will create all the folders for the systems for you. Then you need to turn off the device, and I recommend you always do that through the software, just like a PC. You press the start button, go to quit, and shut down system. Then you just need to remove the card and put on your PC and copy the games to their respective folders. GBA to GBA, SNES to SNES, and so on. When you're done, just put the card back on your console, turn it on, then you have all the games separated by systems just like mine. To start a game, it's very simple. Just choose a system with the A button and choose a game with the A button also to start. When you start a game, it will look like this. It will be in full screen. It doesn't matter the system you choose. Me, personally, I don't like playing old games full screen. So we can change this setting according to the system you're playing. To do that and to save the setting, we have to go to the menu of the system. So let's leave the game. To leave the game, you need to press the F button and start. But I hate using this button as a hotkey. I think this button is on a very awkward place. And there's always a risk to press the reset instead. So I changed the hotkey to the select button. So in this case, to leave, just need to press the select and start, and I'm back to the menu. To change from full screen to the correct aspect ratio, you press start, then go to game settings, go down to game ratio, and I use core provided. With this option, the emulator will choose the correct aspect ratio for the system. Back to the game, it plays with the correct aspect ratio. I like playing like this, but I know there's people that prefer full screen. In the end, it's up to you. And if you want to do what I did and use the select button as a hotkey instead of the F button, I'll show you how to do this. During gameplay, you need to press the F button and the B button to go into the RetroArch menu. But since my hotkey is the select button, I have to press the select and B. You go back with the B button, go right for settings, go down to input, then you find hotkeys. Here you choose hotkey enable, then press select. Then go back twice, left for the main menu, go to configuration file and save current configuration. Now, if you go back to the game and want to quit, just press select and start. Since this is a first impressions video, let's get a move on. It's time to test some games. PSP is a system that would be perfect for this screen and this device. Unfortunately, it just doesn't play great. A lot of the games won't have a good performance. God of War, for example, I had to cap the FPS to 30 and use frame skip 1. Still, you can see a mile away it's not great. Yes, these little hacks make the game playable, but I don't think it's a good experience. But there are some games you'll be able to play without any frame skip or hacks. The Anbernic RG503 is the first handheld device with the chip RK3566. Just like its predecessor, I think we can expect several devices with the same chip this year. I must say my first impressions of this device were not the best. The build quality is not the worst, but also is not quite up there with the expectations we have for an Anbernic device. I was also a bit worried about the performance. I know it's a brand new device and performance will improve with a custom firmware, like the ArcOS and the GelOS. But I really thought performance was below average. Even original PlayStation games had some audio hiccups. No doubt about it, that's from the lack of software refinement and optimization from Anbernic. Like I said, I think performance will improve with community firmware. But companies like Anbernic and Powkiddy need to stop releasing half-baked software, counting on the work of independent developers. But there's two sides of a coin, and we also have some positives here. The design finally changed if compared with previous devices from the company. And in my opinion, for the best. It's much more comfortable now. Another plus point is finally the addition of Wi-Fi 5 GHz and Bluetooth, technologies that apparently just arrived at Anbernic's headquarters. And I can't forget to mention the display. Despite not having great brightness, the games look great on it, with very dark shadows and beautiful and saturated colors. So the purchase link for the Anbernic 503 as well as the other consoles I showed in this video is in the description below. Buying with these links, you don't pay anything extra and you'll help the channel to keep bringing content to you. And if this video was useful to you in any way, consider subscribing and don't forget to leave a like before you go. Once again, Gilly here from the Retro Oasis. Thanks for watching and I'll see you soon.